Okay, I think we are happy to start. Is that right, Mair?
Yes, Chair, I've muted everyone, including
you
Mair.
have. It's you, Michelle. Right, that's fine. Just making sure. Okay. Can I welcome everybody to the meeting today? We have apologies from the chair, Councillor Tanya Skinner, and that's why I'm chairing the meeting. And I'd like to welcome Sami Farid from the Youth Forum, who has joined us today for the first time. I know he's there. He's welcome, and hopefully you've heard the protocol that I've just read out. So I turn to the agenda. Apologies, number one, apology for absence. There's been apologies, as I've mentioned, from Councillor Tanya Skinner, and I've received apologies for Councillor Gareth Lewis because of work commitments. Any other apologies?
No, Chair. Everyone else is present.
Okay, thank you. Item 2 is declaration of interest. Members are reminded of their personal responsibility to declare any personal and prejudicial interest in respect of matters contained in the agenda in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government and Finance Act 1992 relating to council tax, the Local Government Act 2000, the Council's Constitution and the Members' Code of Conduct. And you have to take into account note A and B. Are there any declarations of interest? No. If not, then I go on to item 3, that's the report on environmental well-being, and is to consider the attached report, pages 3 to 14. I know all the officers are there. Judith, are you going to introduce the report?
Yes, I will, Chair.
Okay. Carry on. Yeah.
This report outlines the performance of the various services that make up neighbourhood services in relation to the environmental wellbeing objective. The strategic context for planning and neighbourhood services is provided by the following plans: the Replacement Local Development Plan, the Carbon Management Plan, the Open Space Strategy, Merthyr Tydfil Nature Recovery Plan, the Highway Maintenance Plan, the Winter Maintenance Plan, the Asset Management Plan and the Waste Management Plan. The key long-term outcomes for environmental well-being are to increase the amount of metals and paper being recycled in the borough in order to meet and exceed the recycling targets set by Welsh Government, to improve the standard and cleanliness of our highways, to reduce the levels of fly tipping, and to produce and obtain council approval of the Nature Recovery Plan. In 2017, the performance was evaluated as good as a result of the Welsh Government recycling target being exceeded and being ranked as the top performing authority for removing fly tipping within 5 days. Cleanliness of highways improved slightly and carbon dioxide emissions from buildings reduced. For 2018-19, the performance was evaluated as adequate. And whilst there are some evidenced examples of good outcomes for the community in planning, fly tipping, street cleansing and waste, on the whole, due to the year-on-year reduction in resources and budgets for the frontline services, the outcomes for the community are considered to be adequate in that the services are being provided but are limited and are often reactive rather than preventative due to limited resources. Section 6 of the report provides the response to the request for information on new fly tipping measure, and the service manager Paul Jones is here to answer questions on that. Section 7 sets out our ambitions for where we want to be by 2022 and details the steps taken towards this and lessons learned to date. As section 8, the report concludes by setting out 3 priorities for what we want to do next, what we need to do next, which relate to increasing reuse and recycling, meeting the objectives of the Nature Recovery Plan, and implementing the adopted Carbon Management Plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. Do any of the other officers want to add anything to that?
I think they're just happy to take questions, Clive.
Any questions on the report?
Chair, you're muted at the moment.
Sorry, I just assumed mine was on. But right, I start again. I could ask Councillor Smith first and then Councillor Salmon.
Thank you, Chair. Judith, the report is from last year. To look at it on paper and the way it's been done, it's very good. We've got to be honest with the cutbacks on that. So what lessons have we learned for the coming year? When are we going to work with McDonald's and other fast foods on the rubbish on the roads on the weekends? Because the road between the Rachel Park and the Mormon Church Sunday morning, it was like a McDonald's takeaway. It was everywhere, absolutely ridiculous. And the third question I got on the lessons we learned. When the boys go street cleaning, why can't we have them following the recycling wagon round? Because what I can say at the moment, with the winters coming in, they fill in the recycling bins because they don't use the buddy bins, and it's overflowing, and the wind is blowing them down the street, and it's absolute chaos there.
Okay, Paul Jones, can I ask you to respond on the question about McDonald's, because I know you've been liaising with them, and then Paul Jones and Paul Davis, I suppose, on the recycling and street cleansing question, please.
Hi, good afternoon. Yeah, thanks for the questions, Bill. Sorry, there's somebody waiting in the lobby again.
All right, so youth forum, young lad.
Okay, in terms of the question regarding McDonald's, on a Sunday morning, as I know you're aware, Councillor Smith, we have limited resources. We only have 2 men who work a Saturday and a Sunday. They only work 6 till 12. Their primary role is to litter pick and empty all the bins around the leisure centre in Rhydyr Car. They then have a number of hot spots that they have to clear during the weekends. But as I've said, there's only 2 of them in one van, and their main role is the town centre and the leisure centre. And the other question then was, why can't we follow, especially during the winter, why can't we follow the recycling vehicles? In a nutshell, we've got 6 teams, and we don't have enough vehicles to follow the recycling wagons. Plus, if we did follow the recycling wagons, there would be other areas throughout the county borough then that we wouldn't be able to attend to. Thanks.
Chair, can I come back on McDonald's?
Yes,
please?
yes.
Paul, I know the member of staff you got, but how can we work McDonald's then? Because when you go through RCT, they've got signs all over the place telling people about throwing rubbish out of their cars, dropping litter, recycling. We've got nothing like that up here. So why can't we force McDonald's to put a couple of signs up here and try to help us? Because if you go from the retail park Sunday morning, Saturday morning, down Rhydyr Park, past the Mormon Church, up towards Crawford Park, it's a mess. Right, so why can't we start telling McDonald's he causes a problem? Because we haven't got the funding, we haven't got the money to pay for the extra staff. So they're there then, sometimes they're there till about a Tuesday, and it's sort of on, isn't it?
Yeah, you're quite right, Bill. We are experiencing a lot of problems with fast food at the moment. With the bins we got situated around the area, they are always overflowing. The youngsters in their cars as well are throwing their waste next to the bins, all down the streets. It is an issue, but I've spoke to McDonald's on it, and what they've basically said is they're only responsible for the area where they serve the food. The fact that they're driving around the borough and throwing it out of their car windows and everything else is our responsibility. We're doing all we can with the resources we got available. We've put more bins nearer areas, what we call hotspots. There's nothing much more really we can do as we have no enforcement officers either.
I got to come back, Chair. Yeah. Paul, what about putting signs up in that areas? Because RCT got it. Just to encourage people to say, look, don't throw your rubbish out the cars, like.
Yeah, I take on board what you're saying. That's something we can look into. Again, I'll have to look at the budget and everything else. We have over 74 hotspots throughout the county borough. So, you know, we're talking a lot of money to put signs everywhere. We put them in the most prominent places. They don't always have the desired effect, if I'm being truthful with it. Youngsters in cars, you know, they're not reading signs. They're just out for a bit of fun.
Thank you.
Okay, can I follow up before I bring in Councillor Declan Salmon on the questions that Councillor Smith has posed, Paul? First things first, you indicated that there are 2 workmen on a Saturday and Sunday between the hours of 6 and 12 o'clock, and they mainly used for the town centre area. As you know, Georgetown is that regarded as the town centre area? Because when the nightclub was open there, I think they've been shut for months. That area around there was litter galore. So is that included in the town centre area for these 2 workmen?
Yeah, the area specified for the workmen on a Saturday and a Sunday morning is from the leisure centre, across the bridge, around Avenue de Clichy up to the Georgetown Fish Bar roundabout, back around up through Pont Morlais, straight down to the town centre, down as far as the church at the bottom.
Right. Thank you. You've answered my point. And just to follow on with McDonald's, as you know, Paul, because I was one of the council members that sent you, I think, more than one email at the time. I don't know whether it's still the same. But when McDonald's down at the Merthyr Tydfil Leisure Park opened, the amount of litter there, because all the other places were shut, had to be seen to be believed. And the problem down there was that to the one side of the leisure centre, the bins were our responsibility. All the bins, the other side of the leisure centre, was the responsibility of a private contractor. And obviously the private contractor, although they were written to, I think point blank refused to send vehicles there. But all the litter that was happening both in the council bins and the private bins were all coming from McDonald's, because the users of the service, they're not all young people, but usually the younger population go down there, drive around, pick up their takeaways, and quite a high percentage of them stay in their cars in the area, eat what they want to, try and put them in the bins, which were at the time were overflowing, and everything was, littered around the bins. Now, since 1 or 2 other places have reopened at the Merthyr Tydfil Leisure Park, I haven't been down there recently, but I presume everything is hunky-dory and there's no problem down the leisure park. Is that correct?
Well, I wouldn't say that was correct, actually. We've always, it's an historical area for us where we've had issues. The problem being is there is an estate agent there who is paid by the
Yes, I know.
places that are there. They determine, they actually create their own litter picking schedules. Unfortunately, I have had major issues with them for quite some time now, even before COVID. COVID was particularly annoying. They weren't responding to mine or our legal team's emails or letters. I have recently spoke to the agent, and what she's informed me is any complaints about her areas need to be referred to her, not the local authority, and she will deal with them. However, she has also advised me that they will only litter pick 3 times a week, which I believe is a Monday, Wednesday and Friday, whereas we are litter picking outside the leisure centre 7 days a week.
And thank you for that. And you've got establishments down there on their patch, on what is the private contractors patch, who are open, some of the food establishments there 7 days a week. So picking up that litter, which clearly bins would fill up quickly 3 times out of 7, is, in my opinion, totally inadequate.
Yes, Councillor, I wouldn't argue with your comments there. I think it's something. I know that I've met with McDonald's manager myself, and to be perfectly honest, he was the only establishment helping out throughout the COVID. Only around his area, which is fair enough, I suppose. However, the other establishments didn't want to speak to me, and I've spoke to legal on this, and they are liaising with the estate agent. The owners are actually legal in general, and we can't seem to get a response from them either. So at the moment, it's with our legal department, but I'll push with Simon now and see if we can get some sort of answers. Ideally, they need to be litter picking and emptying their bins 7 days a week, the same as me.
Without a shadow of doubt. Well, perhaps you can report that situation, whether it's to this committee or to the neighbourhood service, when you've to see how far we've got with the issues there. The other thing is, I think perhaps the situation, there's so many people using the McDonald's outlets, both at Cyfarthfa Retail Park and down the Merthyr Tydfil Leisure Park, that it's causing yourself and your staff enormous problems, because you'll find these McDonald's waste containers all over the county borough and within a reasonable area of not only Merthyr Tydfil Leisure Park, but within a reasonable area of the town centre, because once they've finished it and they're driving off, they throw it out of the car window. Now, I know that's not directly McDonald's fault, but it is in a way, because they should be stating to all their patrons that come there that they should dispose of litter properly in the containers and not out on the highways and pavements. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. As I said, as I alluded to earlier, I have met with the McDonald's manager. I've spoke to our legal team. The stance, as far as McDonald's are concerned, is once they've served their food and the people have left their premises, then that problem isn't theirs any longer. It's basically ours, the local authority. Yeah,
I understand what they're saying, but I think that they have a moral duty to do as much as they can to try and avoid. I mean, your staff are, out there day in, day out, 7 days a week, are doing a good job. But it's made worse by the fact that we've got this problem with one large food outlet. Anyway, thank you for that. Bill, you've got your hand still up. Did you want to say anything further on that point?
Oh, the only thing I'm going to say, Chair, if you're on the report back of Paul on McDonald's and everything else, can we put a time limit on it so it don't drag on? So we can say in 2 meetings that we should have a report back fully. So that's 12 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah.
2 months. Because we know what happens. You put something down and then before you know it, it's gone. So this is a big concern for me. It's not only in retail park, they're up the Goodness Road, Goodness shops, they're everywhere on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And enough is enough.
Are you happy with that suggestion, Paul?
Yes, I'll get on to Simon now and we'll draft a letter between us and we'll ask him for a response in terms of what their capabilities are.
You can allude to the fact that this matter was discussed again in today's Governance Scrutiny Committee.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay. Councillor Salmon, you've been patiently waiting.
Thank you, Chair. You'll have to excuse if the video quality is not that I'm on my phone. I am because I can't get in on the see. First one, 6.7. It's the enforcement team have liaised with our colleagues in waste and assisted with armistice days removing recyclable waste from different locations. One of the locations I mentioned is the Bogey Road. Now, people keep mentioning the Bogey Road and the state it's in. Where are we with putting a barrier up there to stop people dumping on the common and on the Bogey Road?
I've been in meetings with the commoners, the landowners, etc. All I can tell you on the barrier is that won't be going ahead from a legal position. Although the commoners are keen on having it there. I don't know the reasons exactly why, but that is with our legal team. But there are reasons as to why it can't be there. I think it's to do with rights of way, etc. We do work closely now with the commoners, and we have quarterly meetings with them, landowners, fire brigade, police, etc., Caerphilly Council. We're trying to do some more litter picks up there with the ranger, who's partly employed by Merthyr and Caerphilly. He's working more on bunding and stopping people accessing the common and feeding the horses, etc. But as for the barrier, there is a legal position as to why they can't place one there.
All right, I appreciate that, Paul. I was talking to Jake from Keepers Tidy the other day, and he had been with Mark up on the common, doing stuff to try and stop the 4x4s and the bike and the motorcycles up there. But to be honest, unless the barrier is put up there on the Bogey Road, it's just going to get worse and worse. And you can guarantee that every 2 weeks on Facebook, a video goes up to show the state it's in, and it's actually been in the national newspapers. It doesn't show Merthyr Tydfil in a good light at all, to be honest. But I know you're caught between a rock and a hard place then. Okay. The other thing is then the enforcement team is a small team who are carrying out a difficult role under difficult circumstances. It says here, in spite of this, we are still carrying out removals of fly-tip waste and not all found within waste. When you find rubbish on land that's not a council, I see you liaise with Merthyr Valley Homes when it's on their land. But what happens when it's on land that's not registered? Have we come up with a solution for this?
Yeah. We've recently put a report together with the chief officer, and it's gone, as far as I'm aware, it's gone to cabinet. In essence, it seems to be going ahead where we will remove off unregistered land. We do need to have further discussions though because of resources I need to liaise with Debbie Newton and the probation teams to look at ways and means of removing some of the backlog.
Yeah, if I could just come in there, Chair, just to clarify, I've actually discussed it with the Cabinet Member for Neighbourhood Services, Councillor Dave Hughes. It's a draft report at the moment, and there were some options in there for tackling that particular issue of unregistered land. So we hope to progress it to a full report that will be presented to Cabinet in due course.
Lovely, thank you both. The next one, Paul, it's an observation. It is about the follow-up emails you get when you report flight tipping. I reported quite a few last week. Hasn't been done, which is 7 days. To be honest, it might be on Merthyr Valley Homes or Merthyr Tydfil Housing Association land. There was flight tipping on it, and rubbish that I collected I put with it, so that may be the problem. I'm just wondering if you could, how long does it take for the emails to come back stating the reason why it couldn't be collected?
Yeah, you should receive a response within 5 working days. If you want to give me the reference number you've been allocated, I can chase that up for you.
Okay, send it. As I said, I put the rubbish I collected with flight tipping. That's probably not council land, so that's probably why. Last question then is it's in regards to the total carbon dioxide emissions from energy consumed by council buildings. Is it a mistake on the chart on page? It's under 5.5. It's got 11,000 on 1718, 6,500 18, and 20,000 on 1920.
Ian, are you able to clarify that for Councillor Salmon?
You what? Sorry, Judith?
I was Ian Goldsworthy's on the call, so I was just asking him if he could clarify that.
Yeah,
Right.
if you could,
Sorry.
if you could just bear with me just one moment.
I think it's paragraph 5.7.
5.7.
5.5 is on the chart
Yeah.
on table 1.
It's fifth line down on the chart.
Yeah. So, for whatever reason, we get our data from a government website, and it's based on our display energy certificate. So, the reasoning behind it, and this was, I think, this was given by Mick Campbell. So I haven't got a huge amount of knowledge regarding it. But from what I can gather, Mick was saying that it was a milder winter. So that explained the drop from 11,000 to 6,400. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's
double 1718 to 1920. Not quite, but nearly.
Yeah. I have raised concerns about the source of information, so where we're actually getting the information from. I say at the time, which was before I started, a decision was made to use this data from the government website. We weren't actually in a position, we didn't have very good data management within the authority relating to energy and utilities. Now we're in a much better position in regards to the organisation of our data, and it's a lot more accessible. So I think going forward, and I've mentioned this a few times, that we would probably be looking at using data from a different source, our own data, because as I said, I don't feel that comfortable using the data from the government website, to be honest with you, because I say it looks a bit. Some of those figures look a little bit odd to me, in all honesty. So.
So
Okay,
yeah,
going forward,
Yeah.
report differently and more accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cheers, Ian.
Yeah.
That's it from Chair.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Just to add to Councillor Salmon, obviously you're using these figures from a national source at the moment, but clearly from what you said, Ian, there is, shall I say, a certain amount of doubt as to whether certain parts of this data is actually bang on accurate. And if that is the case, is there an alternative organization that can give you the data which is much more accurate? Is that what you say? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so previously we didn't have the systems in place to measure our consumption effectively.
Right.
So we were using the government source, which, yeah, so going forward, we have got a much better system in place currently. So we would be looking at using the baseline from the carbon management plan, which is which when we put that data together, it took about 7 or 8 months because we didn't have the systems in place. But going forward, we have, because of the systems we've got in, it's going to take a much shorter amount of time, and we'll be using our own data, which we can rely upon.
Okay.
But because I don't really know in terms of that government data what's going into the mix. You know, there could potentially be NHS buildings within the Merthyr Council Authority area going into that mix. And I said some of those, to be honest with you, those figures look a little bit off to me. So
right. So in future we'll go back to or not be using these national figures, which hopefully will be more pinpointing our establishments and far more accurate. Yeah.
I said when we measure ourselves, which we will be doing, we'll be able to drill down onto a site-by-site basis. So we'll have a much better understanding of our emissions have gone up this year. We can actually look at the buildings where the emissions have increased and actually, take action where it's very difficult to do that at the moment with those figures.
Okay. No more questions, Declan?
No, Chair. All finished. Thank you.
Okay. Before I bring in Bill Smith, Councillor Smith, just to clarify, Paul, you did refer to unregistered land about where it refers to in the report. When you say unregistered land, we talk about private land. Are they one and the same thing?
No, councillor, 2 separate things. Unregistered land is land where we don't know the landowner is. Private land is obviously owned by somebody. Right.
But so in the report, it does refer to private land, and you've indicated about this report going to or being to Cabinet. Are we left in the same boat then, that because all 33 members at some time during their terms of office will receive complaints from constituents about an inordinate amount of litter and fly tipping on private land? Is that the same situation where we can't, because it's private land, we can't go on there and deal with it and ultimately clear the land? Am I right? That'll be the same state even after this report?
No, councillor, to bring you up to speed a little bit, I haven't been to a scrutiny meeting for about a year now, so you're probably a little bit behind in terms of where we are on fly tipping.
Right.
Since Judith has taken over, we've had an in-depth discussion in terms of what we do on unregistered private and council-owned land. Judith has decided now that we are to write to landowners on private land, expressing our concerns about the waste on their land and the fact that we need it moved. In terms of unregistered land, then we will be, well, hopefully, pending the draft report going forward, we will look to remove waste off unregistered land. As with any land, though, we are allowed on the land to investigate any fly tips. And we will take appropriate action even on private land.
Right. Marvellous.
Just to follow up on that, Chair, if I may, obviously there are resource and budget implications to us doing that. Hence, the need for a cabinet report to look at those issues and those options. So it's not something that we're currently doing, but we hope to advance it in the coming months.
Right, that's fine. And can I ask one question? Because it's been mentioned by Councillor Salmon about the Bogey Road. Like a lot of us living locally, before the local lockdown was implemented, I might add, I was one of those who would travel that road. Have we ever thought about the possibility of putting, the flashing signs you see for speed, where they're indicating to motorists that they're doing over 30 miles an hour, for example? Have you thought of putting flashing poles like that there, which will indicate to people that this is an area which is being classified as a hotspot, and flashing up that if anybody decides they want to fly type there, that there's quite a possibility that they'll be caught? Have you thought about doing something like that?
In terms of flashing lights, no, that's not something that we have thought of. But what I can tell you is over the last 5 years, we've lost in excess of 4 cameras in the area, burnt out, vandalised, etc. We actually went to a private company 18 months ago and put a £70,000 camera up there. Not covered, but sealed off by rather large boulders, which got vandalised by a van driving through into it. So to put a sign up in a remote area, especially an electronic one, I don't think it'll last very long, to be honest with you.
Right. It was only a thought when I'm travelling there, because obviously there's no warning, from what I can remember, no warning as you're driving into it from the Caerphilly end or the Merthyr Tydfil end. There's no warning to say that this site is under surveillance.
I take on board your comments, and I'll get some signs made up for the entry from Merthyr, our side.
Yeah. And can we indicate on there, is it perfectly lawful to indicate that on there that anybody found fly tipping and dropping litter is liable to prosecution? Yeah,
as you drive up from the Bogey Road from the roundabout below Asda, we have got fly tipping signs there as you cross the bridge to the right to where is occurring.
Yeah, and we can put one on the Merthyr Tydfil side of it, but what you're saying, I don't know where the boundary is coming in from the Caerphilly top end, but on Merthyr Council, the Merthyr Tydfil sign, can we put the same sign there as you're coming into it?
Yeah, we're permitted to put signs there,
Yeah, so that'd be both ends. Right. Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Smith?
Thank you, Chair. Is that Paul Davis is a question to Paul. On the recycling now, I noticed we are picking a lot more recycling. Our bins are out of date on recycling, because I know that we got the trolley bins, the 3 of them, and a lot of people are not using them. We got the green bins, they're filling up too much. And in the winter, in the windy days and the winter's coming out, it's just been blown to bins. So years ago we used to have like a plastic top to cover over them, but our bins are out of date for what we're doing now because we're picking up too much. We're picking a lot more recycling up.
Afternoon, councillor. No, they're not out of date. The only reason we went from hard plastic covers to, sorry if I'm echoing a bit, I'm in the spare room. The only reason we went from hard plastic to the shower caps we got now, one is obviously because of price, and the other one is then they don't break, the shower caps. We are having problems them blowing away. The whole point of the shower cap is because you can get more in the box itself because it expands a bit. If they done properly, and I think it is on the website now that you can actually watch somebody tying it, is the shower cap ties to the handle on the one side, so it's just pulled over. But no, going back to your question, councillor, we're not out of date with what we're using. I know Vale Glamorgan are just going through one of the change that we did in 2015, and they more or less followed our blueprint to the letter.
So thanks for that. So I come back to you now when most of the rubbish is all over the road with the wind and say, look, it's not working. All right, no problem. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions? I've got one. I think this is probably for Judith Jones to answer. It's on page 11, Judith. It's paragraph 7.5, where you refer to various issues from the COVID-19 pandemic. And the last sentence of that reads, a number of office-based staff are working from home, but access to IT is limited, and as such, service delivery is compromised. Is that still the current situation? Because when I've discussed this matter in our weekly meetings with Ellis Cooper and Aaron Owen, at a very recent meeting, I was advised that we've got somewhere over 500 members of staff who have remote facilities been given to them by the local authority?
No, I'm pleased to say that's no longer much of an issue. This report was written quite a few months ago. Right. Since that time, we've managed to get most, if not all, staff now set up with laptops at home, Microsoft Teams, mobile phones, etc. So, yeah, most of the office-based neighbourhood services staff are all set up to work from home without issue now.
Yeah, I thought that was the case, but I thought I'd better make sure just to clarify matters. Thank you. Any other questions of members? Bill, your hand is still up. Was that
Sorry, Chair. I'll take it off now.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. If there are no other questions, any comments? No. Well, if there's no comments, if not, I just like to say in relation to the report, which has either gone to Cabinet or is going to Cabinet in respect of the unregistered land and private land, is really a move forward. I know there are other councillors been asking about this, but I've been trying to get something done about this for a long time, and it's very frustrating when you have constituents complaining to you about fly tipping and litter, whether it's on unregistered land, but it's usually private land, in my case, in my ward. And when you're trying to explain to the constituents who complained about the fly tipping on private land that the council can do very little about it, you get a blank look on their faces. So, Judith, this is really, in my view, a step forward in the right direction, and I'd like to see that implemented sooner rather than later. David Hughes, you've got your hand up?
Yeah. The reason we was looking at this, Clive, was because of something, a new award came up. It was unregistered bit of land where people were fly tipping, and that was the reason why I asked Judith for us to look into this, because it's somebody in Pant as well has been there for 6 months, and because it's not registered, no one will touch it. So as I said to Judith, we got duty of care to the old residents of Merthyr.
Yeah.
So we must tackle this. And one thing what we will be looking at, if it's unregistered, why maybe the council can register to them.
Yeah.
So that's why we bring in that report, Clive.
Yeah. Thanks. I mean, David, there are, you know, goodness knows how many addresses throughout the county borough which are owned by private occupiers or owners, and I think they've got away with things over a long period of time. And as I said, I'm glad to see that this matter is now going to be tackled. Okay. If there's no other comments, no, then I'll take you back to the recommendation, which is on page 4, paragraph 2.1. The content of this report be discussed and performance information scrutinised. 2.2. Scrutiny committee members offer any appropriate feedback to enable officers to consider when undertaking future service planning and delivery discussions. Can I have a mover and a seconder to those recommendations, please?
Move, Chair.
Seconded? Who seconded?
I'll second.
Right.
I'll second, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Salmon. If you bear with me a second, I've got the names. Right. I'll call these out. Hopefully they're in alphabetical order for voting. So if you're approving the recommendation, it's yes. Harvey Jones, Councillor Harvey Jones. Oh, you put your hand up yet? Yes, Harvey, I'll take it as a yes. Myself, yes. Declan Salmon.
Yes, Chair.
And Councillor Bill Smith.
Yes, Chair.
Thank you. That's unanimous. We now go on to the next item on the agenda. If I can find it. And that's the forward work programme. Item 4, to consider the attached report, pages 15 to 26. Sean, would you like to bring us up to date with that?
Chair, before you go into that, can the officers be released?
Yeah.
Yes, certainly.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
For your thank you for attendance.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Hi, Chair.
Okay, Sean.
Yes, no problem. Yeah, as you're all aware, we always go through the forward work programme. It is a fluid document, and just to go through the next agenda meeting items to see if everything is fine with that. In addition to that, I do think that we have had possibly a new a report that is being requested as an action from councillors today, from members today.
Yeah.
So shall we look at what's on the report for the next committee first?
Yeah.
So that will be the 24th of November. And there's one report coming up, and the title, well, the heading of it will be to the impact of the council tax debt collection process and universal credit on tackling poverty.
Yeah.
So the scrutiny and challenge is following a visit to the Citizens Advice Bureau, recommendation was made by the committee chair to further explore this topic. A CAB representative will be invited to attend to give a report on the impact of the processes and outline some of the issues people face within communities across the county borough. Additionally, the committee wants to understand the impact of the pandemic on CAB services. Members seek to identify how lessons learned will help inform and shape services going forward to ensure identified needs can continue to be met in safe and responsive ways. Obviously, we have to take into consideration there that the universal credit, as an authority, we don't have any authority over that. We just follow and abide by the rules and regulations set by government on the universal credit. So I think this was more towards exploring how this is impacted, and again, especially since the COVID and the lockdown and the loss of jobs and all these different kind of aspects that we will now be looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about other members, they speak for themselves. I'm quite happy for that to be on the agenda. I think it's opportune for it to be on the agenda, frankly, on the 24th of November, particularly because of the pandemic since March. In the current financial year, we've got an even bigger task to overcome. Apart from monies outstanding from previous years, we're trying to get up to speed with collecting for this financial year. And the one figure that might be out of date now was that we had 670,000 quid, which was needed to be collected, and we're already into October. Can I make sure that, and I think the suggestion about having the representative there from the Citizens Advice Bureau is a good one.
Yeah.
That we make sure that we write to the CAB, if it hasn't already been done now, to give them plenty of notice for the next meeting.
Yeah, will do. I'll put that down as an action.
Can I stop you? Is it everybody okay with that? Making sure that we have that item on the agenda for the 24th of November? Yes?
Yeah, okay.
No problem.
Okay.
Sorry. Sorry.
Yes. Yes, Claire?
I'm just wondering as well, because I'm kind of looking at this from two different angles. Obviously, the impact of COVID and the job losses and everything will impact on people's income, which then impacts on your ability to collect. But I'm wondering as well whether there could be an aspect to look at, because part of the universal credit requirements is to be searching for jobs. And even though I've seen quite a few jobs being advertised throughout lockdown, with the local lockdown now where they can't leave Merthyr Tydfil, is this making the situation worse? Because again, it has a knock-on effect. There's even less available opportunity for you to collect any debts.
Sorry, Claire, when you say they can't leave Merthyr Tydfil, they can't leave Merthyr Tydfil do you mean they can't leave Merthyr Tydfil to attend an interview for a job?
Yes.
Well, it's a possibility, isn't it? It's the public transport element. It's just whether it's had any impact. There are sort of exclusions where you can leave, but I'm just wondering whether that's had impact on people sort of on universal credit, being able to find employment as well.
Okay.
But sorry, Sean, but it is not a specific query from a member of staff or somebody working daily with universal credits would know the figures, or would likely to have the information.
I wouldn't be able to tell you. I wouldn't know what the CAB collect. I mean, if within the report, if we request Could they give examples of what the particular themes are, reoccurring themes of problems? Perhaps they could, you know, that could be something that we could ask them, that they would either know if they have statistics of that kind of information, or if it's more a spoken kind of verbal answer of, you know, in their experience. Yeah, I don't know whether that's going to be anything that we could possibly ask them, but
well, Citizens Advice Bureau, there's so many people going there with all sorts of problems, particularly even more so now with the pandemic. I'm sure they can give us a flavour of the issues as Claire has outlined.
Yeah, okay. So so perhaps we can put that in an email to them when we write to them to give us a flavour of recurring themes, or, you know, how we word it. We'll put that down. I've just made a note of that, so we can put that in when we invite them.
Okay.
So the other thing that has come up as a part of the actions, it was just now with regards to Paul Jones giving the members an update on what possibilities that the food premises such as McDonald's can do to ensure that the highways are clean. I think it was Councillor Smith that said around about 12 weeks we would give them. So my question to you is that, are you anticipating that Paul would come back to committee in 12 weeks' time with a report, a brief report that, which, you know, it might be of just what's happened since, you know, since coming to us? If so, 12 weeks' time would probably be around 12th of January. So if you want me to schedule that in for there.
I would say yes. I know Councillor Smith brought this up. Are you happy with that? And
no problem, Chair, because the time we send letters off, and the way things are going, staffing,
Okay, no problem. So I can add that as an addition to the work programme for the 12th of January.
John?
Yes.
And sorry, Chair. To save duplication as well, could a report be sent to the Neighbourhood Services committee as well? Maybe just an information report that is going to be discussed at the governance.
Okay, so they can follow up with that when going to the Neighbourhood Services, and we can discuss that in our next meeting, and we can combine the dates then. No problem.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both.
I've got one more that was asked by Councillor Skinner. It's in relation to black bin charges. Now, I know it's on the Neighbourhood Services forward work programme for the 12th of April, and it was the reason that it was on the 12th of April because Judith wouldn't have had all the information back for the full year until then. So there'd be no point in having it before the 12th of April on the governance committee, because which there's a committee meeting on the 23rd of March. So I'm wondering if the 4th of May would be okay, or maybe you could just stick it in at something we can look at in the next meeting with agreement from the chair. I don't know.
Well, she's talking about information for the 12 months, which, you know, I presume is up to the 31st of March from the 1st of April. So the next meeting is the 23rd of March, so that it'd still be a week's figures to go. What do you think, Sean?
So you're suggesting that we add this additional report onto the 23rd of March, taken into account?
No. I think the both of us are saying, because that 12 month still got over a week to go. That it should be put on the 4th of May.
That's exactly what I was going to say, because whilst the meeting date is the 23rd of March,
Yeah, yeah.
you need that prepared in advance of that. So you're only talking about the first or second week of March for the actual report to be prepared.
Yeah.
So the 4th of May, yeah, I mean, that the report would be done probably for the neighbourhood services. And then if the report itself then comes up then to the governance committee so that it can be shared throughout the governance committee. That would obviously save the officers then duplication of work as well, of 2 reports. So yeah, no problem.
So just to get it clear, Councillor Salmon, it's that issue would not be a matter that would be discussed at the neighbourhood services, but at the governance on the 4th of May. Have I got it right?
Yeah, I do want it in neighbourhood services because I asked first, to be honest.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it'll be followed up by coming to governance as well.
So it's going to neighbourhood services first. I don't know what the dates are then before coming to the governance on the 4th of May. Is that correct?
Yeah, neighbourhood services will be the 12th of April, Clive.
Oh, there we are. So it'll go to the both then within a period of 3 weeks.
So I mean, as I said, it saves the officers rewriting a report.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. So I put that down as Judith Jones to bring that. Then it'll be with Paul Davis and Paul Jones probably, or Paul Davis.
Is Councillor Smith and Councillor Harvey Jones in agreement with that?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, and I can see Harvey nodded. So there we are. The committee are agreed, Sian.
Thank you very much.
Is that it then?
Yeah, that's everything for me for that that one.
Okay. Let me just check the minutes. It says there. Right, go back to the recommendations for the work programmes because we've gone over that for the next few months. Go back to paragraph 2. 2.1, the committee considers the attached forward work programme and improves, revises or amends it as deemed appropriate and to consider the questions as laid down in 3.7 in planning for the next meeting. Is there a mover and a seconder for that recommendation?
Yeah, mover.
It's been moved. Councillor Sam has been moved and seconded. I'll call out the names again. And say yes if you're agreeing to the recommendation. Councillor Harvey Jones?
Yes.
As myself, yes. Councillor Declan Salmon?
Yes, Chair.
And Councillor Bill Smith?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. That's agreed then unanimously. We then go on to item 5. That's the scrutiny referrals, feedback and follow-up actions. Now we have something new on here today, and that's the tracker, Sian.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Which I've got up here. So at the moment, all elected members or the co-opted member wouldn't see that copy of that tracker with their papers.
Not with their papers, no.
I'm making a suggestion.
Okay.
That you know, I've got it in front of me because you sent it to me earlier on this afternoon. But I think the actions arising from this meeting, you know, the actions for report at the next meeting should be with the papers.
Right. Okay.
Is that a problem as far as you're concerned?
So there's a number of ways of doing this. Either we send them independently because this, as it is, isn't a part of the agenda. These are done separately by ourselves. They're a report to just collate and record the actions that have been set.
Yes, I understand that. What I'm saying, but you have a standing item there for scrutiny referrals, feedback, and it says follow-up actions. Yes. So it could be specifically stated there the follow-up actions are from this action tracker, and that could be there with the papers.
Okay, so you want it incorporated into the agenda?
To be included, I think, in item 5, because the members could have seen this when it's sent out on the website, and you know, papers as well as sent out. This would be part and parcel of it, so they can, you know, rather than your
document.
Yeah, you know, you'll have it in front of them on the day of the meeting. They can see this beforehand.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And it's a matter that we can, if we wanted to, refer to in the pre-meeting as to what we want further done about any of these other actions in the meantime.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, sorry, I think that follows on with Councillor Skinner's conversation that we had last time in the meeting, in the scrutiny meeting, because she did say that she did want to discuss them under that item. I don't think she was as specific as including the table, so to speak, within the agenda on that item, but I shouldn't see there being a problem. I think we can do that ready for the next one. Yeah,
because it's either the action's been completed, or there's a problem, or it's work in progress.
Yeah.
Do you want us to go through that now?
Yeah, we can do. Yes.
Go on then. Go on.
So in the past.
Yeah, sorry, Councillor Smith. Bill? You're on mute, Sean.
I was just telling you he's on
my fault. Sorry.
You're both on mute then.
Yeah.
Throwing me. Councillor Smith, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, what I'm looking at, Chair, is shooting referrals, feedback, and tracking point actions.
Yes,
Put it all in one.
Yeah,
because at least we know then.
Yeah.
And we, as the comments are made, put it on the agenda so everybody can copy of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Exactly that. It could be referred in that wording under that item, and they sent what you've got there, which I got in front of me, as to where we are with the actions. I think we're all agreed with that, aren't we? Yeah. So do you want to go through the actions from the last meeting, Sean?
Certainly. So next time, obviously, we'll all be able to see this on the report. However, for the purposes of this meeting, in the governance scrutiny meeting on the 22nd of September, there were 5 actions that were noted. The first action was that it was agreed by the members that the pre-meet would change or revert back to 3:30 meetings. So I'm pleased to say that obviously that has been completed, because we had the pre-meet today at 3:30.
Yeah.
The second action is relating to what we're discussing now. Yeah. It was the action tracker ran as a pilot scheme in 2019-20. The members agreed that they would like to continue the action tracker and its progress to be raised under the agenda item, scrutiny referrals, feedbacks and follow-up actions. So in effect, we have done that at this point in time. However, going forward, we'll improve it again by actually having the table of the actions listed down there so everybody can see them. So we'll do that for the next one. Another action from last September's meeting was to provide the committee members with information on when the risk assessments are to be carried out on the front desk of the Civic Centre in order for it to be reopened to the public and for public use. So discussions of the last meeting, this involved the officer Paul Lewis, and the action is still in progress. He has contacted a number of the staff with this in mind to find out, you know, what the situation is. I haven't had any written update more recently in the last week. However, I should imagine that they're establishing where the land lies at the moment. With the COVID, we're already in like a soft lockdown or a lockdown. But I will gather more information on this and be able to update you further in next scrutiny on that.
Right. Well, I got a suggestion there, but Councillor Smith wants to say something. Councillor Smith?
You're on mute, Councillor Smith.
Sorry, my hand was up by mistake. I'm mute.
Right. Okay.
Chair?
What Chair? Sean, what I was, you know, it's one thing to say the action is in progress and they've sent an email to the officers, but it's going to be another, what, 6 weeks or so before we find out what action they've taken on the action tracker.
Okay.
Now,
so Jen,
it's my view that this is a matter which has been raised by other members apart from myself, and I know we're in a pandemic situation, but these are major public offices, and currently we have the front door shut because there is deemed to be, you know, we don't asking for the public to come into the building. But you know, other places have opened their front desks with specific restrictions on how it's policed. What I feel is that if this is on the action tracker and we're told, well, next time round 6 weeks, we've sent further emails and we've had a discussion here, there and everywhere. I feel, and I know what other members feel, but I think it should be the form of a report coming to us.
Okay.
And it, you know, it's not something that could be left until next January or March, or we need to know, I think, from a scrutiny point of view, now rather than later. Do other members agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. We got to, but it's one thing to say, but we've got to put a time scale on all the reports.
Yeah.
Right, because we got asked for a report, and I know the times are hard and we haven't got the staff.
Yeah.
But we got the feedback and we need the information. So everything we do, we got to put a time scale on it.
Yeah. And I don't know what other members feel, but I've been asked by constituents. They've had various issues and they haven't been able to get into the Civic Centre. Yes, Claire.
Chair, if I may, obviously it'll be great in 6 weeks' time to get an update on the information, but could I ask, if possible, for the elected members on the scrutiny panel to be perhaps kept up to date as progress goes along in the next 6 weeks, whether that's perhaps by email? Right, I think you as elected members shouldn't have to wait 6 weeks. You should be kept up to date with all the changes as they happen.
Claire, you are correct, but I think in practice you'll find that this is an item which was being put on this new tracker, and we wouldn't normally be notified as to what the progress is until we come to the next meeting. Am I right, Sean?
Not entirely, no.
Right.
What we generally do is, if there are any actions as the scrutiny support, we would send out the actions at the end of the scrutiny to the officers, just to remind them of the things that were discussed and the things that were asked of them. They would generally, in previous previous experience, the officers will tend to work on them and come back with information. When they come back with information, we feed that information to the members, throughout the time. So, you could have an update on any of these actions that we've had today throughout the period before the next meeting. However, in the next meeting, we will round it up and we'll go back through them and see what the things are. But if it's a smaller kind of action, so for example, if somebody requested further information that they didn't have to hand today, the officer went away and got that information, I would then forward that through to yourselves. I wouldn't wait until the next meeting. You'd have it prior to that.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, the difference here with this particular one is the day after, one of the officers sent an email to, I don't know, various officers in the local authority. That was practically 3 weeks ago. It's 6 weeks to the next meeting.
Yeah.
If in 6 weeks' time it says, well, we're still work in progress, we then can't scrutinise and challenge the officers, because it's all been they're reporting to you through you. And I think in this case, officers or an officer should be there, because I, for one, I know Councillor Smith and other members will have questions to query with the officer if we're still in the situation where we working action in progress.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. This particular item is more of a meatier item. It is more of a need to know, a more urgent kind of would require a more urgent response than possibly what we're having. So I totally agree with you. Would you like me to put that down for on the agenda for the next meeting, for the next scrutiny?
Well, I think so, because that would require then an officer or officers to attend. So, all members of the scrutiny committee can ask pertinent questions if by that time no decision's been made.
That's right. So I'm just checking. We still have one item for the next scrutiny committee, which is the 24th. So I can add that to the 24th of November. It's for Paul Lewis to give an update on what's happening with the opening of the Civic Centre.
Yeah. Can I clarify, what is Paul Lewis's job, Sian?
He is the head of...
Oh, Paul Lewis in consumer protection, sorry.
That's right, yeah, it's trade standards.
Ah, right,
okay. Yeah. Yes, but he is, but I think given the, since the board and the insurance board has been in, I think he is tasked on the recovery, the recovery side of corporate recovery, so to speak. So it's the customer service and corporate, so that's why he is kind of heading this particular issue.
Well, he'd be I would have thought,
he's the prime
officers to be there.
Yeah, he's the prime person.
Can I ask Councillor Salmon and Councillor Harvey Jones, are you happy with that to be on the agenda?
Yeah.
Lovely. Councillor Harvey Jones, you happy for that to be on the agenda? Right.
Yes.
Fine. So he'll have to be there to talk us through it.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And there's another item after that on the tracker, wasn't it, Sian?
Yes.
To be fair.
Can I just come back on that a second?
Yes.
Claire Payne, you work for Merthyr Valley Homes, Claire. Have your offices open now? If they were shut, how long were they shut for? I know it's
Our office is still closed for the time being. We are out performing services and keeping in contact, but even as staff, the majority of us are still working from home. There hasn't been an announcement yet of when that will change.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you, Claire.
Yeah, that's fine.
No problem.
The next one, Hannah Brown, give us the information during the scrutiny committee, so that's fine.
That's right.
There's nothing else there, is there?
No.
Right. Okay. Nothing else you want to say, Sean, on any of that?
No, apart from the actions, just to go over the actions that I've noted for this particular scrutiny on the 13th today.
Yeah, go on.
So we've discussed as members and have agreed that the action tracker is to be as a tabular kind of focus on the agenda going forward under this particular agenda item. Yes. The next one I've got is that we've agreed that Paul Jones will provide a report on the 12th of January with regards to what the food premises, for example, McDonald's, are doing to ensure their part that the highways are clean.
Paul Davis, you mean?
No, that's Paul Jones.
Oh, Paul Jones, yes.
Right,
yes. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No problem. So we've got another one then for Paul Jones, and that is that they've requested members have requested So members have requested warning or preventative signs for fly tipping be placed on the Bogie Road. Yeah. They are near the entrances on the Merthyr Tydfil side. I think there's two entrances that you referred to. Wherever obviously we are permitted to erect those two signs, and I've got down there for as soon as conveniently possible. So I will be working back with Paul just to have an update of how and when they are, or that action has been completed. Another action that we write to CAB straight away to invite them to the next meeting. So, and within that invite, we will also ask them for kind of if they can prepare the types of flavours or themes or reoccurring themes that people are currently facing with regards to COVID and the universal credit and the issues that they are receiving. Yeah. We've got a report. A report is going in March to Neighbourhood Services, and the members of the Governance Scrutiny has requested that it comes to the Governance Scrutiny on the 4th of May, and that's concerning the black bin costs. Yeah. So that would be coming. Yeah. And the last thing we've just said there then is for Paul Lewis to give a written update in the form of a report to committee members on the 24th of November on the civic centre being made open to the public, and what work or what actions or updates that they can give us. Yeah, that's fine. I think that's all the points for action. There's nobody else's think that I've missed anything out at all? No? No, I don't think so, Sean. I think that's been adequately covered.
Sean, as always, you've done a good job.
Oh, thank you very much.
And the next item then is the reflection and evaluation of the meeting. Well, we got through it, Sean, without the chair and vice chair being present. So I think we've covered everything and done justice to all the items on the agenda. I'm a little bit concerned, Sean, that Sami Farid, I did see him being admitted, but then it went. So I don't know whether he had problems or difficulties with connecting. Could possibly somebody find that out?
Yeah.
Either yourself or Democratic Services. I think Democratic would follow that up.
I think they've tried to contact him by the looks of the actions and the messages back. I think they tried to contact him, speak to him whilst the meeting's been going on to see if they could rectify that. So
yeah, Sean, if I could just
yes, sure.
update. I spoke to Sammy on the telephone and he acknowledged that it seemed to be a problem his end.
All right.
He tried to join the meeting a few times.
Yes.
But he just couldn't hear anything. He closed everything down, came back in. So, but it's nothing our end that we could help with.
Right. Okay. Okay. We'll have to leave that there then.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah. Thanks. Okay. And then that next item is any other business deemed urgent by the chair. I have none. Can you thank you all the members, Sean and everybody else that's helped and assisted with this meeting this afternoon. And I declare the meeting closed and thank you all. And I'll see you again in the near future.
Thank you, Chair.
All the best.
Cheers.
Ta-ra. Thanks. Ta-ra.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.